So today we are going to talk about evaluations, and I'll go ahead and throw my presentation up here so you can see it. I'm going to talk to it, but I don't want to depend upon it. So if you have questions, I definitely want you to ask questions, stop me, whatever you need to do. Educate or evaluate to motivate. And I did augment this from Toastmasters Successful Club Series. That's another way of saying I stole it or added content to the existing content, which was really quite short. So I felt like it was very helpful. So today, what I'd like to do is provide an explanation of what evaluations should look like, and then provide a demonstration. And Miss Ellen is going to assist with that. And actually, I'm going to take this just a step further with a practical application. And I'm going to ask at the end that Ellen, along with, let's go ahead and do Carrie and Manuela. I would like for Carrie, Manuela, and Ellen to evaluate my evaluation of Ellen. Okay, so when it comes to that time, you'll see. Okay, so we're all getting involved. We're all having a little practical application here of evaluations. So the benefit of evaluations, it benefits the speaker, providing obviously immediate feedback to what you just spoke about. It offers methods of improvement, and it builds and maintains a self-esteem, which really motivates the speaker to do a few things: speak more and speak better. The whole reason that we're in Toastmasters, or one of the two reasons that we're in Toastmasters, is to speak better, and you do that really by speaking more. So a good evaluation will encourage both of those things. According to Toastmasters, you effectively evaluate by talking to the speaker before the speech. Find out what the objectives are in the Pathways project. Go over the evaluation guidelines that you have, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And if there's any concerns that the speaker may have, hey, is there anything you want me to look at? Is there anything you're concerned about in giving this speech, your flow, maybe it's your hand gestures, whatever it is, what do you want to work on for this speech? You talk about that with the speaker before they even give the speech. And then during the speech, a Toastmaster suggests that you show that you're interested. You show the old nodding of the head. A lot of this is really was designed when we were in person, or when we are in person, put it that way. So they know, the speaker knows that there's one person that is going to evaluate them. And you might just be sure that you, at least if nobody else is paying attention, you're paying attention to the speaker, okay? And as you do that, also put yourself in the position of the speaker. How are they feeling given all the circumstances that you know? And then take notes on the evaluation form. I have in my grubby little hands here my evaluation form that I did for Carrie. So you can see on my paper here, I took notes, lots of notes, and I just print off this page that she had for her evaluation. I take notes on it. Why get another sheet of paper unless you had the WDTM book? Curtis, do you have in your hand? Oh, there you go. Unless you have that and you like to take notes, whichever. But I'll show you why this is more beneficial in the end game. So Carrie's speech a couple of meetings ago, she gave a speech on dynamic leadership pathway. It was Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. And I went to Free Toast Host. And when I did that, I saw her introduction, I saw her title, and I have circled here her evaluation form. If I click that, I can download her evaluation form for the specific speech that she's given. Each speech has a different evaluation form, and they all have little information right at the top of the form. So here's Carrie's form that I downloaded. The purpose, the speech is given there. And then the second part, if you notice, it's notes for the evaluator. That was me. I was the evaluator. Hey, I had notes already from Toastmasters. Our good friend Toastmasters left me some notes that I should consider while evaluating Carrie. And so it told me about the speech. They will present a well-organized, well-delivered speech, maybe humorous, informational, any style, But the last bullet point you notice said, this project is not a report on the content of the project. Sometimes we think, oh, let's give a report on this project. No, it's not really. You're supposed to give a speech about yourself based upon the content of the project, okay? And then there's comments. So you could take that sheet of paper just as I did. I made notes right on that sheet based upon her as she was speaking. The second page is the page that has all the details in there. How well did you speak? What was the clarity? How was your vocal variety? Did you monotone the whole time, or did you speak with a good variety of vocal variety? Did you make eye contact? Look directly into the camera. Or if we're in person, scan the audience, right? So also remember, this is sensitive to the location in which you give the speech. Gestures, audience awareness, interest, comfort level, and was it well researched? All those you can grade on a scale of 1 to 5. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what does a 5 look like and what does a 1 look like? Page 3 tells you exactly that. Page 3 has exactly what the scale indicates. So if let's look at eye contact. Eye contact, a 5 indicates that this person uses eye contact to convey emotion and elicit response. You're using the eye contact to engage the audience. But a 1, this person makes little or no eye contact with the audience. So now, based upon that information, you can go back and give a good grade to the person that you're evaluating based upon that. And just to give you information too, what I do is I always like to circle my response and then put my answers in it as well. So when I'm responding to the speaker, as I did to Carrie, I've got my notes that I can just quickly reference right off this one sheet. All right, any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns over this little piece of paper and where I got it?
I'd like to add something, if I may, John.
You may.
When you download that evaluation form, if you're on a desktop, it comes right into your desktop, obviously. It's here, and it's a fillable PDF, which
Correct.
means as you're listening, you can be making notes on it. After you make notes on it, you can download it, and you can download it with the notes you put on it, save it as a file, and then email it right over to the person that you evaluate. I think it's important to get the evaluations to the speakers.
Right. And when we were in person, what did you do?
I would print those off, and we have some in the box too. They're all basically the same. They're titled differently. Like this is the evaluation form for researching and presenting. The other one says evaluation form for icebreaker or what have you. They're all basically laid out the same. So I would fill those out from the box and then just hand it to the person after you're done, hand it to the person and say, thank you very much.
There you go. And with that, guess what? I have a folder filled with these. When we met in person, people would evaluate me and I would put them all. I've got a folder right over there on my desk, 2 folders, because I've completed 2 paths. And in each one of those paths, I've got every evaluation, when we were in person at least, that people gave to me after they evaluated me. A wealth of information sitting right up there on my folder or shelf that people have given me.
I have a question. I don't know
Yes,
if you noticed, but I was in and out and had to redo my Wi-Fi. Where did you find this, and exactly what was it called?
right there on Free Toast Host, where we sign up for our roles or sign up to give a speech. So when the person, like I've signed up to give a speech later in the month. I've not actually put assigned my project yet, but once that person properly assigns their project, it automatically populates this evaluation form right here. You can just click the download. Easy peasy.
For people who understand tech.
Well, it's on our Free Toast Host, and if you got any questions about that, we're going to talk about that at the end of our meeting too.
It's very straightforward. And if you are going to choose to evaluate someone, all you have to do is look for what's circled in red right here, Manuela, because it's on the agenda. So it really doesn't take a lot of tech. If you can get into the agenda, you'll be able to click that button and download it or print it off.
Yeah. And while I'm here, I'll mention also there's a complete introduction for the Toastmaster. If you're the Toastmaster of the day, you can print this off an agenda, but you can also just print their introduction as well. And then you have that on a sheet of paper as well. We're very paper happy here at Toastmasters. We like to print things. I think we own a paper mill out there in Colorado. I don't know. I'm just kidding about that part. Okay. How to evaluate effectively. During evaluation, choose your words carefully. Evaluate the speech, not the person. And you remember, you're here to promote self-esteem. You're here to encourage them, to motivate them to give more speeches and give better speeches. So here's, this is the, right here's the blue ribbon slide that I'll share today, is stay away from words like you didn't, or you should have, or you failed to. Those are words you probably don't want to use. You want to use words like I believe, or I observed what I saw. Do it from your point of view. Okay, does that make sense? That's huge. You don't want to get into telling them what to do or how to do it. Just from your point of view, here's what I saw. I would suggest, not that you need to do this, but I would suggest you do this. Okay, because you're just an evaluator. You're not a coach. You're not a mentor. You're just evaluating the speech. Okay. Evaluate the speech, not the person. Remember, the main purpose is to encourage the speaker to give more speeches and to give better speeches. Pay attention to the speaker's goals, as we've talked about already, and watch for symptoms or fear that they may have or insecurities. Is it, you know, what's your thing that you say over and over? Maybe it's your filler word, or you do something that sometimes you may pull your ear, you know, whatever. Look out for those things that indicate that you have an insecurity. And then evaluate the speaker does, not what or who the speaker is. Hey, Curtis, you're a DTM. You should know better than that. You should do this way, right? Don't do that. Or you're a brand new Toastmaster. You don't have to downgrade it to that. Just evaluate what the speaker does. Because over a period of time, we should all have a, you know, I didn't do too well when I started, but we see that we need to know that we didn't do well, right? You don't need to sugarcoat it. You didn't do so well some things, but over a period of time, I'm getting better at this. I see my progress. I don't know if I'll make progress if I didn't know how poorly I did when I started. I'm a perfect example of that. I know exactly how bad I was when I started, and now I can see improvement over 4 years. There's some outlines that I'm going to suggest here. This is the Toastmasters Common Evaluation Outline. And in this outline, you give an opening, you encourage the speaker, you give some positive observations that you notice from the speech. Then you put in those areas of improvement, and then you close with an encouragement of some sort. If you're doing the contest, which we're going to talk about at the end of this meeting, if you're doing an evaluation contest, this is the outline you want to follow. Because I've seen people like Tanya Latham, she'll start that opening, and she'll come from over here with her opening, drawing in some observation that she has in her personal life into this speech. That's her opening. Then she'll give the encouragement, the positive observations, what do you need to improve, and then she ties all that back together into a closing. It's really like a mini speech, an evaluation, and that's the format that I've seen Tanya Latham do, and she has done quite well in contests. So if you want to do the contest format, I highly suggest you do this, and I'll make this presentation available after we're finished too, so you can use that outline if you like. Now, in our presence, we have the esteemed Richard Rodano, and for those who've been around for any time, know that Richard does his evaluation in 3 areas. I'm going to evaluate you today on your organization, your delivery of the message, and the objectives of the speech. He does this every time. It's his little format, but it works. It works really well because you really learn from his point of view, right? How well did he think you organized it? How was your delivery, which we talked about before there, and based upon the objectives of the speech that are in the evaluation form. So he has just a little different format of how he does it. Another format that you can use is this, just follow the evaluation, right? Just start on the evaluation form in the back. I make comments based upon the each one of the criteria. And I'll put a note by the things that I would commend. So you got recommend, you got commend, recommend, and commend again. So commendations are things that are positive. So went down here, I started off with Carrie. She had clarity. She did great. She spoke with a great cadence. She was not rushed. I wrote those down in my notes. So I gave her a 4. So everything that I had positive was in my commendations. My recommendations, I put a star by. I would mention those afterwards. And then I would finish with some more positive commendations. Summary, Carrie did a wonderful job. I learned so much about your story as a mentor. She told us a great story of herself and her person that was a mentor to her. That's how you just sort of summarize it there. Okay. Any thoughts on the 3 formats that we've covered here?
I like the
All right.
idea about Oreoing or sandwiching
Yeah.
the evaluation, John. I think we all do a really good job at that, where you say, I noticed this, you may want to improve on this. I thought you did really good on this, so you go back and forth. The way the evaluation form is set up, it's you excelled at, you may want to work on, and then to challenge yourself. And if you go down that list, sometimes it comes across as like you're digging your hole deeper. So like, I like what you were saying, John, where you highlight, this is what we want to talk about. So it's not, you excelled out, you may want to work on to challenge yourself. If you did really good at this, I really liked it, you may want to work on this. But again, overall thought it was fantastic and yada, yada. So I like that you Oreo the feedback.
Right.
Also,
So
I'd like,
go ahead.
I just want to make a comment because you mentioned that it's really from your point of view, the evaluation. And that's something that's so important because I've literally been writing an evaluation for other people or just practicing early on. And then I heard the actual evaluator get up and say some things opposite, completely 180 degrees opposite, something that I thought distracted from the speech, they thought was a benefit for the speech. So it's not about being right or wrong. It's about a point of view that can help you take what you can glean from that evaluation and apply it to your next speaking based on what some people have experienced from your speech. So I just want to say that because you could have, in an evaluation, I've listened to them at some of the competitions where different evaluators, they bring out different points because everybody has a different point of view. They don't have to agree. So that's what's so important and so valuable in getting feedback from people because it's their point of view and it will help you.
That's right. Great point. Great point of view, Miss Ellen.
John, would you back up 2 slides real quick? I was taking notes and I missed the Tanya
Richards?
Latham approach. Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, this in a contest, you really want this because if you just go down the criteria, that's great. But what they want to see and what separates your criteria from somebody else's criteria, it's the warmth, the way you deliver it. And this right here is a great format. And it's difficult, but like I say, it's more of like a table topic with information that right? Think of it that way.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, last slide that Toastmaster says, avoid being disingenuous. Just be honest. Give your points of view. Ella made a great point. There's no right or wrong answer. This is just what you observed. And this is what I can take back as a speaker. The feedback that you've given to me is just be genuine. Okay, now we're going to do a demonstration. I'm going to stop my sharing. And I have asked the illustrious Ellen Kimball to provide a 1 everything. I'm not going to time it. 1 to 2. Okay, 1 to 2 minutes speech. And then I'm going to evaluate Ellen 2 different ways. And then when I'm finished, I would like Carrie first, and then Manuela, and then Ellen to evaluate my evaluations. Okay, so your evaluations, Carrie, Manuela, and Ellen, will just be 30 seconds. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but from your point of view, what you observed, you evaluate my evaluations of Ellen. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because you'll see that there might be a good one and there might be a bad one.
Okay.
So with that in mind, please help me welcome Ellen Kimball.
Thank you, John. Let's eat. Those are two words that we all enjoy hearing. I think we do, because food is a common experience of our humanity. And today, John asked me to talk about food, and I'm a self-proclaimed foodie. I love food. I'm an adventurous eater. And so I wanted to share just a few things about food, 3 things today. And I was really blessed to be raised in a large family with a mother who loved to cook and bake and who really worked hard at bringing our family around the kitchen table every evening for dinner. So I was raised like that. I raised my family like that. But I want to talk with you about 3 things today. The first one is food is our fuel. It's what provides the energy that we need to live a purpose-driven life. And today there are so many options out there and so many things that have brought what we call convenience in, that it has caused a lot of problems. So 85% of our health maladies can actually be helped by eating better. And my passion for food, part of it came as an adult over 9 years ago when I released 26 pounds, almost 30 inches off my body. I regained vitality and energy that I had not had for most of my adult life. And it has been sustained to this day. And I'm very passionate about helping other people with that. And it still fires me up today because food is our fuel. Number 2, food brings us together. It's a type of fellowship. If you ask anybody, fellowship is spelled F-O-O-D. If you make something to eat, people will come. They love that. We sit around, whether it's on a date or it's with our loved ones or it's to comfort others. We have a fellowship around food. It brings people together. It's very important. And thirdly, food is pleasurable. We enjoy the way food feels, the way it tastes, the way it satisfies. It's meant to satisfy our bodies. It releases endorphins into our bodies, and it actually helps us to feel satisfied. Again, there are a lot of counterfeits out there today that are causing a lot of health issues. However, good food is meant to give you good pleasure. For myself personally, I love to mix combinations and I love to create new recipes. I love crunchy and chewy. I love savory and sweet, and I love to mix acid and heat. So to wrap this up, I just want to tell you that food is a common experience that we all have. It's our fuel. Choose it wisely. It brings us together. Be intentional about that and make it happen. And food is a pleasure. Take the time to savor your food, to choose good food that will fuel your body, because you only have this one body for this one life, and go out there and enjoy your food today. Thank you. Back to John Grigsby.
Thank you, Ellen, for that wonderful speech. I will now give you my response with my bad hat on. Ellen, your speech today was good about eating. I also like to eat. I've been an eater now for 56 years. I've learned to eat from a very early age, and it's brought me thus far. It has. What you didn't say today, Ellen, is you didn't say anything about blackberries, which is my passion in life. And I didn't hear one thing about blackberries. And if you're going to talk about food, you probably should talk about blackberries. You should have probably given us a plate full of food for us to look at. I mean, because hearing you and seeing you are 2 different things, and that they're both are helpful. So you probably should have, given us something to look at. And you really failed to bring it home. I really think that we as people, we eat, we know how to eat, right? But did you really motivate us to come around and eat together? I didn't get it, Ellen. I just tell you, I didn't get it. Okay, I'm gonna turn my hat around. My good hat. Ellen, great job on your speech. I could tell you prepared today about eating, a subject we are all familiar with, but yet you brought the opportunity to talk about specific kinds of eating, your savory and sweet, your acid, your non-acid. I like those combinations. I believe that you prepared for today's speech and you were so enthusiastic in the way you delivered it. You had a big smile. You come on, you're bouncing around. You looked at the camera and you used great hand gestures as you spoke. I could tell that you were really wanting us to eat. I might suggest that you do mention more specific types of food, or even would invite us to eat would be great. That would be a good suggestion. Or if we did this over a big old plate of spaghetti that we all shared, I think that would be great. That's just what I would feel. I really felt hungry from your speech. Your speech provided me with the opportunity to remember that I've not had lunch yet. And yet through your speech, I am motivated to eat. So Ellen, once again, a great speech that you've delivered. You're prepared and you are passionate about it. Keep going, Ellen. Okay, those are my speeches. I'll take my hat off now. That's my evaluation. A good, hopefully you will see, and a bad and a good. I start off with a bad with my hat turned around backwards, and a good with my hat turned around forwards. So with that in mind, Carrie, would you evaluate my evaluations? And you're still writing, I could tell, which is good.
Yes, sir. So, John, I felt like your first bad evaluation that Ellen gave this exciting, passionate speech, and you spoke a lot about yourself. You didn't speak about Ellen. It was how your reaction, your perception, how did you relate? You wanted to tell us about you and your food experiences, and that's okay to share a little bit, but it seemed a little heavy on you and not on her. I felt like you really underestimated the great things you could have said about it, her body language, her excitement, starting out by saying, let's eat. It was interesting, great speech. And I felt like at the end that she did a great recap saying fuel, fellowship, pleasurable, that she did really bring it home. So for you to say that, I feel like you were a little off on that first evaluation. On the second evaluation, it was very positive, great, motivational, but I don't know, it felt good, but was it helpful for her next speech? I don't know. If there was any critiques or any, what can we do better next time? I missed it. That's the only thing I would say about that second evaluation. Great speech, Ellen. You just came out of your back pocket, huh?
You should see her back pocket. Thank you, Carrie. Great observations from your point of view. All right, Manuela, what is your point of view on my evaluations?
All right, can you hear me now? Okay. Where do I begin? I think that we as a society miss the importance of commas and taking a breath, such as, let's eat, Grandpa, or let's eat, Grandpa. There is an important comma in there, which allows us to take a break, i.e., let's eat, comma, Grandpa, or without it, let's eat, Grandpa. Evaluation of such a wonderful, energetic speech, whether it was out of her back pocket or not, was missing a lot of importance that she was putting out. Comparing the first one to the second one, it was very clear that your first evaluation was to show us how bad it could be, i.e., self-centered, self-involved, and your particular love of blackberries. The second one, I feel, was important and helpful, however, probably not to the extent that Ellen needed, had this been a speech that she needed to build upon. I think that's about what I've got.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for your observations, Manuela. Now, as the speaker, the full 360 evaluation, Ellen, evaluate my evaluations of you.
Okay, thanks, John. So I agree with everything that has been said, and really especially what Carrie said about your first one too. And I did jot some notes about your poor evaluation in between trying to hold it together from laughing so hard because I thought it was hysterical because Bubba came on. But anyway, I had never seen Bubba Grigsby before, so that was just hysterical. I wrote down the same thing Carrie wrote, that it was all about you. You were so fixated on your blackberries and what you didn't have on your plate. Your hat looked terrible. And then you, of course, went over all of the things that you said are not to be part of an evaluation. You should have, you didn't do, and you failed to bring, and all of that. There was very little positive. It was very, very much self-centered. And so I have to say that you did a good job of a bad example. So kudos to you for that. And then to turn around and try and give a realistic one, I would have struggled with that. So I have to say it was one of the poorer evaluations that I've ever gotten from you. But I think because you were trying so hard on the bad evaluation example, but you did say that you would like to have more specific types of food and invite us, which of course is really unrealistic in this venue. Although one time for an open house when we were at King, I did do a food on sweets. I mean, I did do a speech on sweets, and I brought a plate of brownies that we enjoyed afterwards. So anyway, that was in the past. And you did not give me a lot of specifics, which is something Carrie and Manuela both said too. You didn't really give me anything to work on, to hone on, to look ahead and say, oh, that's a great point, I could change this. So I would just encourage you to look more at the constructive feedback of how I could improve. And yes, I did kind of take it out of my left pocket. You asked me to do a 1 to 2 minute on my favorite food, but I really wanted to have 3 points, and I love food. So that's what I came up with. Thank you very much.
Very good. And you're right. I didn't put a lot of time on the positive. It was more to accentuate the bad. But as you all know, I did it quickly without, I took a few notes here on my sheet of paper. Usually you have just a few more minutes to prepare and go over the criteria on the back of the sheet. And that's what I would have done if I had more time to do that. So, all right. That is my presentation on evaluations. Any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns before we stop the recording?
I had a few things to add just because we're recording it, John, if you don't mind.
Yes, go right ahead.
I wanted to make sure that everybody, I'm not clearing my throat because I'm important, clearing my throat because I'm getting over some sinuses. I want to make sure that everybody knows that they can evaluate. It is not a criteria that you have to be a DTM or further along or deliver speeches. Anybody can evaluate. Some of the best tips that I received have been from brand new members because they are seeing things that I've never seen. So anybody can evaluate. Don't be afraid to dive in for our newer members. It's okay if more seasoned people are speaking, like myself or Don, who happen to have a DTM, which is just a bunch of letters behind us. We're all the same people. We all put our pantyhose on the same way. If you are evaluating somebody who's a little more seasoned than you, don't be afraid. Please give some feedback. John's poor evaluation was not giving any specifics, and we're here to grow. And if you stand up and give an evaluation, it's like, hey, that was awesome. I think you did great. I can't wait to be as good as you. I couldn't find anything wrong. I'm like, well, I didn't learn anything, So please use that Oreo. You did great. I would improve this. I can't wait to be as good as you, Carrie. Something along those lines is what people are looking for. But and then, John, you were talking about saving your evaluations. So that's something that I did as well and continue to do. I save my evaluations. There. Okay, unmuted. Yeah, I got it. Thank you very much. I take my evaluations and I highlight the important stuff and I keep that all in a file. And so as my speeches grow, whenever I'm about to give a speech, I open up the file and I look at the highlighted. Okay, I touch my face too much. I'm poor with eye contact. I speak to the PowerPoint. Got it. That's the 3 things I learned on the last 3 speeches. So I'm sure not to do that again. So keep your own highlight reel. And then, yeah, and I love the fact, John, that you talked about as an evaluator, talk to the speaker before they give the speech. Instead of just like downloading the form and here's your valuation. That's great. And if you can do that, that's great. Fantastic. It's also nice if you talk to them ahead of time and say, hey, Ellen, I'm your evaluator next Monday. What is it specifically you want to be working on that I can help you with? And then Ellen says, well, Curtis, I really want to make sure that I focus on the opening of the speech, the body, and the conclusion. So if you can clearly see that as I walk through, that'd be great. And so then I know what to look for. And it really shows that you're excited, kind of ups the accountability on Ellen's part, because now she knows that I'm looking specifically for that. So just good stuff all the way around. And I don't mean to drone on, but since we're recording this and we'll use this as education, I just kind of wanted to sneak that in. Back to you, John Gritty.
Excellent points, great points as well.